Oh, morning, brothers and sisters. I thought we'd just take a quick look at some words that a while ago I had looked at, but I didn't think to bring them up. I think now is the perfect time to show them to you, so let's get moving here on this. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. So, one of the words we're going to take a look at is found in Zephaniah 3:18, that verse that we've been looking a lot at lately. And it says this, I got it here, because I got the interlinear pulled up here. It says, I will gather them that are sorrowful for the solemn assembly, who are of thee, to whom the reproach of it was a burden. So we've understood that these are the daughters of Zion in view, based on what follows, and also other passages like what we read in Micah 4, and maybe we'll get to that in a minute. But it also says, behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee, and I will save her, it says her, that halteth, and gather her that was driven out, and I will give them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. So we're talking about the original foundation, the original daughters of Zion, and what they taught, who comes out of the dust. And we get that allegory in Isaiah 29. They will speak out of the dust of the earth. Maybe we'll read that verse too. Okay? But the word here that I really wanted to take a look at, and we'll try to pull this all together pretty quick, is the word burden in Zephaniah 3:18. Okay? To whom it was the reproach of it was a burden. So let's pull that word up, and it's your Hebrew number 4864. That's your number. Now let's understand what this is actually leading us to understand more deeply. Okay? It's a feminine noun, and it means, get this, an uprising, utterance, burden, portion. It's a feminine noun. Alright? And it means an uprising, an utterance, a speaking up. Okay? Watch what else it says. Leads us to understand. Sign of fire, great flame, gift, lifting up, mess, oblation, properly, abstractly, a raising as of the hands in prayer, or a rising of flame. Look at that. This reproach leads to an uprising, which is also given to the idea of a flame. Alright? The rising of a flame. That's going to take us to the menorah in the middle candle, known as the western candle, or the lamp of God. That middle candle typically was known as your western candle. It was also known as the lamp of God. It's also known as the fire that's going to light the other six on fire. Now that's interesting, because I just was reading in the notes how each one of these candles was actually paralleled to the 7 continents of earth as well. Now that's interesting, because it's telling you that middle candle represents the western continent, alright? Which is where the flame of God. I've also been taken to the word Uri-el quite a bit. And fire Uri 222 and 2222. I've been seeing those a lot. 2221. And it has the idea of lighting the world on fire with this uprising, which is feminine, and they are making utterances. All right. This is our idea here from this word burden. Now this is what I did. All right. When I went to punch in uprising for Greek, and I just said Strong's Greek uprising, and it gave me this word 4714 in Greek. Okay, and it's a feminine noun, and it means an insurrection, a dissension. Originally, your standing or your position or your place, your standing of your faith, what you believed in. All right, this is what it's actually, I believe, talking about. It's talking about your religious standing, your theology. That's what it's talking about. But this uprising, which was the word for burden, which was your word for flame, utterance, then took me to the Greek, Insurrection, 4:7-14. So if we go down, it's got some pretty negative connotation, of course. It's going to. They're going to do all that they can to stop this insurrection from taking place. This is our enemy that's about to try to come against us. Insurrection, uproar. It's from the base of the word histemi, which means a standing, properly the act of standing. So God keeps telling many of us, stand up, stand up, stand up. By analogy, your position, your existence. See, where do we fit into creation? Where do we stand in creation? By implication, a popular uprising. Figuratively, a controversy. Dissension, insurrection, standing, uproar. All right, that's very interesting, isn't it? Because then if we go to the Strong's Greek, apostasy, okay, apostasia, it too is a feminine noun. And this is where it takes us to the great falling away in 2 Thessalonians 2:3. All right? Are we getting it yet? And this is 646 is the number, Greek. All right? And it means a defection and a revolt. And it's feminine. Apostasy. Now understand, Paul was also called an apostate in his day. But I've been looking at that, and I think the reasons are much different than the ones that they tried to indicate. But we're not going to talk about that today. So it's from the word 868. It means leave, depart, which is derived from 575, which is away from, and from 2476, histemi. Again, we hit the word histemi because that was also found in the other Greek word, I believe. I didn't go into it. Which means stand. Properly, a departure. Apostasy, implying desertion, literally, a leaving from a previous standing, from a theology. A leaving from a theology, and it calls it a falling away here. All right, now, let's get our understanding properly here. Because that's what these daughters here are doing in Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 18. The burden. It's an uprising. I will gather them that are sorrowful for the solemn assembly. This is for the judgment. It's a very solemn time going on here. This is the assembly. This is the congregation being assembled for the judgment. These are the daughters of Zion, which are handpicked to stand, all right, in this judgment. Who are of thee, to whom the reproach of it was a burden. That takes you to uprising, that takes you to flame. Now, we just liken the Western nations, or the Western nation, which is your Western continent, to your middle flame, which was known as the lamp of God, which represents the Spirit of the Lord. That's what it represents. And this light, this flame, this Uri, this Uri-el, that never was supposed to go out, was always used to light the other six on fire. All right? So I'm going to tell you that these daughters over here in the Western nations are the ones that's appointed to set the other six on fire with the truth. All right? With the standing up. That's on us to do, according to this. All right? And the interesting thing about the Western nations is, you know, they have a variety of bloodlines within them. So it's not just coming from one. All right, it's coming from many different lines, lineages, that goes back to the original foundation, which was the daughters of Zion, which was Israel, representing as the heifer. Okay, so we're kind of crunching our information pretty quick here. So here we have a falling away, a defection, an apostasy, which they're trying to tell us is a really, really bad thing. Well, our enemy would want to tell us that because they're trying to stop us from rising up and taking our vineyard back. That's what they're trying to do. All right? So it is the feminine of the same of, or same as, apostasion, defection from truth. Now, defection from what they call the truth. what they made the truth. It's called the false. It's called the false stronghold. Your stronghold is another allegory to your argument. Do I have that word pulled up? I don't think I have it pulled up, but I have it here. It's number 627 in Greek. It's your argument. It's your stronghold. Your daughter Zion's argument is going to end up being your stronghold. It's going to be the spirit of the new Adam, all right, which is going to bring life to the body. That's also an illusion that you find in Isaiah 26. What does it say? I know I'm getting a little off track here, but we're still going to go back to that word apostasy in a minute. It says, verse 19, Isaiah 26, it says, the dead men shall live, together with my dead body shall they arise. Awake and sing, ye that dwell in the dust, for thy dew is as the dew of herbs, and the earth shall cast out the dead. Now, let's look at another verse here, another version of it. It says, your dead will live, their corpses will rise. You who lie in the dust, awake and shout for joy, for your dew is as the dew of the dawn. That's the dawning of a new day. This is the spirit in existence to give life to the dead, to the body, and the earth will give birth to the departed spirits. All right. So you have that. All right. And it says, come, my people, enter into your chambers and close your doors behind you. Hide for a little while until the indignation runs its course. Well, we looked at that in the last video. That's a feminine, the indignation. Then we have these daughters who are being gathered by that spirit, which is known as your gatherer, the Asaph that you read about in the Psalms. It's also your female assembler who has gathered the truth, all right, in your Proverbs. That's spoken of in Ecclesiastes 12, verse 5, I think, or verse 9, and so on. And for behold, the Lord is about to come out from her place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. And the earth will reveal the bloodshed and will no longer cover the slain. All right. So these daughters, is the daughters the same daughters that you see, and I believe it is daughters. Because often you'll watch these great male movies and the men goes, for the death of our brothers. But nobody ever pays for the death of the sisters, it doesn't seem. It's always for the death of our brothers. We go to war, we battle. But in Revelation 6, they're actually speaking to the daughter of Zion, who is known as the Lord, the queen of the dominion. And in Revelation 6, they wake up, right? They come to the Lord and they say this. And it is these daughters asking for vengeance for the blood, their blood that was slain, and nobody saw fit to even speak on it. Oh, we always see men being sacrificed for good things. When the women are sacrificed, it's hid behind. Nobody ever knows it's going on. It's just like they don't suffer for nothing. They don't suffer for the truth. They're not slain for the truth. It's only these men, really. And so you never see their blood on anybody's hands. But what do they say in verse 10? Revelation 6, verse 10. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, how long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? Well, she's about ready to avenge her daughters because man killed them and didn't want them in covenant. But they're rebirthed out of the dust. So let's look at that verse. That's in Isaiah 29. We're putting it together pretty quick here. So 29 says this. Verse 4, and thou shalt be brought down, and shalt speak out of the ground, and thy speech shall be low out of the dust, and thy voice shall be as of one that hath a familiar spirit out of the ground, and thy speech shall whisper out of the dust. And here it's talking about Uri-el, which means lioness of God. They got lion of God. No, lioness. It's feminine. You go and look the word up. It actually is a feminine. It's lioness of God. And she was brought low. But here her spirit is once again speaking out of the dust of the earth. And these are your great lionesses now that you're going to find in Micah 5 with the dew that you see in Isaiah 26, which is likened to the light that's going to resurrect the dead. So Micah 5 reads this, and the remnant of Jacob, says no, of Israel, shall be in the midst of many people as a dew from the Lord. Dew represents the truth of heaven, which you find referenced in Deuteronomy 32. It's your virgin standing there. It has such a picture of the virgin in the heavens in Isaiah 32. For anybody who does their study on the picture of Virgo, and she's actually in some write-ups called a heifer, the Virgo, the virgin. And the remnant of Israel shall be in the midst of many people as a dew from the Lord, as the showers upon the grass that tarrieth. They don't wait for men to appoint them, they're appointed by God, nor waiteth for the sons of men. And the remnant of Israel shall be among the Gentiles in the midst of many people as a lion? No, as an Uri-el, as a lioness. Among the beasts of the forest as a young lioness, among the flocks of the sheep, who if she go through, both treadeth down and teareth in pieces, and none can deliver. Again, you see her here. You keep reading, and in Micah 5, it tells you she is the one that will thresh the nations. No, it's Micah 4. So if you keep reading to the end, these are the lionesses, the Uri-els, lying, sleeping amongst the Gentiles, where she was cast, and we're told why she was cast. We did videos on this. But in Isaiah 49, it was a promise from Mother God that she would enlarge in her birthright by casting her out into the fields of the Gentiles. So she says, you'll not only claim Israel, you will also claim the Gentiles as your own. So this is the women, the allegory to the woman surrounding the man in the end of days. That's Israel, coming back out of the nations to take back her rightful place. And it says, be in pain and labor to bring forth. We read that. But watch what verse 13 says. Arise and thresh, O daughter of Zion, for I will make thine horn. Horn is a symbol of your spiritual power. Your horn iron, and I will make thy hooves brass. That's taking us back to the brazen serpent in the wilderness. That's the glory that was cast down, but was the one that would give you life. The one that was biting them was the harlots that had been sent in by Balaam through Balak, wanting him to curse the nation of Israel. So they went and got the harlot daughters and sent them into the men and began to poison them and bite them with false doctrine. And the only way that they could live was if they looked to the brazen serpent that is the true scepter of God, that is these daughters of Zion. They are represented as a brazen serpent, as the seraphim. Seraphim means a fiery serpent. All right? And a serpent has the idea they're very smart. They are your smart women. They are your wisdom reborn upon this earth to give life to the body through the spirit of heaven's truth. All right? Which is Mother Jerusalem above, from above. So I will make thy horns, thy hooves brass, and thou shalt beat in pieces many people, and I will consecrate their gain unto the Lord, and their substance unto the Lord of the whole earth. That Lord there is Christ. So he is a Lord of the earth, as well as this daughter, which represents the glory that he goes into. It says there are great riches at the left hand of God, mighty riches, but it says is eternal life at the right hand. Okay, so you're not looking at a negative for left or right. They're both very positive when God's in charge of everything. And so you get this allegory here, which takes you to Isaiah 26, to the dew that's going to raise the dead. That's the doctrine of heaven, which is represented by these daughters of Zion. And here you have them in Zephaniah 3 actually leading an uprising. All right? And not only there, because in Micah, let me see here, 5, I believe it is. No, it's Micah 4. Let's look through here. Just a minute. Yeah, it's Micah 4, which you find the same allegory here. in Micah 4. You watch what it says. It goes back to these same ones in Zephaniah 3. Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee, and I will save her that halteth, and gather her that was driven out, and I will get them praise and fame. Because if there's one thing Satan's known for, it was for the blaspheming of the righteous spirit, which he used to defame her with. That's what it says. And Satan was representing actually fallen Adam, who accused the righteous spirit in the very beginning. He became known as the accuser in the heavens. But what does it say? The restoration of Zion. In Micah 4, verse 6, it says, in that day, saith the Lord, will I assemble her that halteth, and I will gather her that is driven out, and her that I have afflicted, and I will make her that halteth a remnant. So they're being placed back into the rightful place of power. These are your queens, your rulers of the nations. They are also known as the mothers of the nations. Et means truth, but M means mother. So these are your mothers of truth, which are taking back the vineyard, which is the light dawning with the dew, which is these lionesses who nobody can take on. And you get your allegory to the behemoth when they're all working together as a unit with the truth of heaven. She's a mythical creature representing Israel, actually. This heifer, this behemoth, and you can't take her in your snares when they're working together. And I will make her a remnant, and her that was cast off a strong nation. And the Lord shall reign over them in Mount Zion. These are the daughters of Jerusalem, the daughters of Zion. And they're known as your queens, but there is one queen over them all. And thou, O tower of the flock, the stronghold, your argument, of the daughter of Zion, unto thee shall it come, even the first dominion. The kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem. And she's one, they like to teach she's many, the bride's many, many. Well, that takes you back to polygamy, which was under man-made law to debase the feminine, the understanding of the righteous feminine. They wanted to debase her and bring her down, which is what they did. They said, razz her to the ground, and they did. So back to our Strong's Greek apostasy, okay? So it says a falling away. But what most don't realize is the Antichrist actually rises up. It's an individual male with many with him that rises up in total opposition to these daughters coming on scene to tell you the truth. So these daughters defect from the lie of fallen Adam and the harlot spirit's theology is what they do. This is the apostasy, the falling away. They're taking back the vineyard that was always theirs. We've discussed how they're giving it back, which is through the truth of heaven. But this word apostasy here takes us to the word apostasia. Okay? I got the right place, I think. And what does it say? It takes you to the Greek word 647, all right? And it's a forsaking, a bill of divorce. Wow. It's a neuter. A bill of divorce. So this defection, this apostasy, this arising up has something to do with divorcing someone. Well, who would these daughters who are standing up for the truth now, not the lies, for the truth, who are they divorcing? It's a neuter of a presumed adjective from a derivative of aphistamon, properly something separative, especially divorce, writing of divorcement, a certificate of divorce. Guess what these daughters are doing? They're divorcing fallen Adam's theology, and they're marrying the new Adam's theology, Christ's. And he exalts the daughter Zion and her laws, or her commandments, right here. He exalts her. That's what that's telling you. She says, Mother says in Hosea 2, you will no longer hold the name of Baal in your mouth. And that's precisely what we're doing under this theology. We're holding our husbands up as if they're the ones that are meant to rule and govern us, and we're to be under him like a doormat. Where does it say that? Isaiah. if I got the right verse, the right chapter. I think it's 59. What does it say? She's telling you to stand up. She's saying lift your standards up. This is the lifting up the standards of the daughter of Zion. No, it's I think it's 52. It may be chapter 52 or 51. Let me see here. 51. It's Isaiah 51, which was one of the chapters that we used to identify that it is the daughter of Zion who must awaken as the Lord, who's asleep. And when she awakens as a warrior that was drunk on wine. Well, that's the fallen theology that this Lord, known as these daughters of Zion, she awakes and she's just so incensed against the image. And the image there has the idea of a male image. She's incensed that they think that they're our God, that they're our Lord. Alright? And that's the idea when you get running out that. But Isaiah 51 says this, verse 23. But I will put it into the hand of them that afflict thee, which have said to thy soul, bow down, that we may go over. And thou hast laid thy body as the ground and as the street to them that went over. And what did it tell us? I forget which chapter it's in. It says, truth staggered in the street, and it was cast far off. They did not want a covenant with these daughters of righteousness. We're coming to the uprising now, and it has to happen. All right? So this bill of divorce is to fallen Adam. And this is the new spirit with the doctrine of heaven that will bring life to the dead, as is shown in Isaiah 26. And it is the lionesses that you find going forth. Micah 4. Micah 5. Oh, I can't keep them two chapters straight. That's going to make this happen. Micah 5. And if you've been called, you're going to know it in some way. You're going to know in some way that you've been called to do this. And we know it's talking about us. It's talking about the new Israel. It is so. Because of the passage that we find in Romans 9. And we'll finish up with this. What does it say? Neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children. Alright, but in Isaac, shall thy seed be called. No, that's the new Adam. Right? But it's the Spirit who's doing the calling. That is, they which are the children of the flesh, that represents the male. Flesh is male. Spiritual is female. They which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of God. But the children of the promise are counted for the seed. Alright? So you're the new Israel. She comes from the original Israel. These daughters do. They were cast out in the fields of the Gentiles, but we're told why that was done. It was done in Isaiah 49 to enlarge in her birthright because of what she was told in Zechariah chapter 11 after she was told to break her covenant and to sell her mantle. Her mantle represents this body. And Mother says, I'll enlarge in your mantle. We'll remake it and it'll be grander than what it's ever been. So you'll not only claim Israel as your children, you'll also claim the Gentiles. And so that's where she was cast. All right? The ones who stayed behind got infected with the doctrine. We did too, but we've been appointed to rise up out of the ground based on that verse that you find in Isaiah 29. And we're the middle candle. The western candle is the west. The daughters in the west will light the world on fire with the truth of heaven. They're going to purify it. That's what the Spirit of God does. It purifies. Alright? And they are to rise up and light the world on fire. From the notes I read, the 7 candles represents the 7 continents of the earth. The middle candle was the candle that was known that it would stay lit and never go out, so it could light the other 6 after they had went out. It's up to us to light the world on fire with the truth of heaven and purify it. And these daughters rise up. That's what we're told. And you get it all through the scriptures for anybody who actually wants to study this. And what did it say? We'll finish right here. Okay? What did it say? 1 Samuel 3:3. I looked at this in one of my first 4 videos that I ever posted. The lamp of God had not yet gone out, and Samuel was lying down in the house of the Lord, where the ark of God was. But what does it say? I believe it's the very last verse in this chapter. Let me see here. What does it say? No, this is it. It's just, I had a different translation up. It says, and ere the lamp of God went out in the temple of the Lord, where the ark of God was, and Samuel was laid down to sleep. But he was called to keep the truth alive. All right? And that's the crucifixion of Christ on the cross. It's his testimony that ought to light us on fire with a deeper knowing and knowledge of who he truly was. All right? And that's how these daughters stand up. They took a look at Christ and they go, not what they're telling us he is. Totally different. And the Lord appeared again, this is the last verse, and the Lord appeared again in Shiloh. There's Shiloh again, right? That takes us back to that verse in Genesis. Let me look it up. Okay, I keep saying last verse. But it says, appeared again in Shiloh, for the Lord revealed herself to Samuel in Shiloh by the word of the Lord. So that's actually taken us back to Genesis 49 in the blessing that you find with Judah. Right? What does it say with the blessing of Judah here? And we'll leave on this. Because Shiloh is the daughter, which is also called the Shulamite. She's the daughter Zion. What does it say? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver, because it is the daughter Zion's law that rules the earth. From between his feet, that's the new Adam's feet, that's Christ, the second Adam, until Shiloh, that's his daughter reborn, the daughters of Zion reborn, the daughters of Jerusalem reborn with a new spirit. Out of the dust of the earth, she's reborn. Mother says, I'll hear a familiar spirit calling to me, and I'll know. Until Shiloh come, and unto her, not him, shall the gathering, there's your Asaph, of the people be. All right, your gatherer, your Asaph, your female assembler. That's in Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Go run out the words there. They call it preacher. Nah, it's not a preacher. It's your spirit, reborn in the earth, to gather the children, to take her vineyard back from the harlot spirit, and that doctrine that teaches to be a doormat to so many of the nations. And it tells us that in Galatians 4:24 that the laws that came from Mount Sinai are the laws that put Hagar and her children under bondage, but the one that frees you is from above. But that was represented by Sarah. So it's telling you they're going to come out of the ground of earth. All right? So there you have it. I think I told you everything I wanted to. Romans 9, not because they are the seed, the children of the flesh. So it has to do with your spiritual standing. That's your new Israel reborn. These daughters are your original foundation, but they are saw as being reborn of the dust of the earth. They're the top branch. If your first fruits be holy, the lump is also holy body. And so these daughters are the ones that are pictured as the virgin in the heavens in Revelations 12 that will birth the children out through the gates of truth. And these are all allegorical for anybody who actually wants to understand them in allegorical terms. So let's see if my video is still playing. Oh, it's still going. Okay, so it's only 34 minutes, so not too long. So I'll wrap it up on that. I think I told you everything I wanted to. Stronghold, Greek 3794, from a remote derivative of echo, meaning to fortify through the idea of holding safely. Well, you're only holding safely if you have the argument of truth on your tongue. If you're holding the harlot spirit's lies, there's no way you're part of this. You've been called out in some way. I mean, if I know this, I know it for a reason. And it's because we're at the end. And like I said, Revelation testifies that the witnesses has this spirit. The spirit of daughter Zion is the witness in the end of days. Okay? And they're going to testify to the truth of heaven. And that it is not what they're trying to tell us it is. And everything's wrapped up, it looks like, by the 3.5-year mark. Now, there's some dispute as to whether we stay or whether we go. Regardless, there's indication of a reign, a millennial reign. So we know the earth is going to stand. But then in Ezekiel, you get the idea that at the very end, the fire of God comes down and wipes out those who do try to rebel again at the end of the 1,000-year reign. That's what it kind of looks like. I'm just speaking off, the top of my head here. And wisdom indicates that she's going to remove them off the planet. So we may be taken to a safe haven for a time and then returned, is what it kind of looks like, where the children are going. And but it has to do with the light of God even resurrecting the dead, and where they are, and where they may be kept in that safe chamber until the indignation of the Lord, which is 136, Psalm 110, that sits to Christ's right hand, be complete. So that's something to think on. I hope I said something to help you pull this theology together. I thank all for watching my video, any who's actually pulling them up and trying to understand it. Most have not reached this point yet, I know that. They're not even trying to understand it. They're so still in the valleys right now. And they don't know how close we are. Just me understanding the things I understand, I know how close we are. We're very close right now. And so I thank all who's attempting to watch. I thank you for being patient with me and all my blunders and all my mistakes. I'll try to do a write-up under both of these videos that might help flesh out our understanding a bit better. And so I hope you all have a really nice day. I hope the Lord blesses you abundantly with the truth. And I hope you all have a really nice day.